Welcome to Hallway Conversations, a breakout series dissecting each week's hottest keynotes from the AWS reInvent conference. I'm James Cross, a cloud architect at Virtasant.
And I'm John Knight, a DevOps Lead at Virtasant. Today we're talking about machine learning keynote that was broadcast live on Tuesday. There are a lot of announcements and guest speakers in this keynote, so let's dive in. What's exciting about this NFL announcement is, the NFL itself has a lot of injuries. So being able to forecast whether a collision was serious or potentially an injury before the play is even over can help people mitigate and respond rapidly to something going on in the field. And I know, James, you mentioned in the Formula One, they were also using it to talk about like tire degradation, right?
Yeah, and so tire degradation, pit stop performance, pit stop strategy. So F1's also been quite data driven for some time, but it's usually been down to individual teams to do their own thing. F1 has signed a big deal with AWS to centralize all of this, and it makes it quite interesting from a viewer perspective as well to see how teams are using this data to predict their pit stop strategies and so on. Bias in machine learning models is a really big problem. There's actually bias in your data set, and the classic example of this actually is the Twitter auto cropping algorithm. It was shown that it would tend to crop in on Caucasian faces, and that's it's easy to think that there's perhaps some bias in the algorithm, but actually probably there's bias in the data set. So how they can detect that or correct for that bias will be interesting to see.
And so we saw Aurora machine learning, Athena machine learning, and Redshift machine learning. And so what you're looking at is integrating machine learning into your queries directly without having to go out and do some complicated interface. But it sounds like a logical integration, and I can only imagine that they're going to keep adding machine learning to whatever products they can. What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think it's really nice, really cool, and it's actually kind of, for me, a logical next step, because a couple of years ago they launched Lambda integration for each of these services, which allows you to trigger custom Lambda functions based on SQL. And I know some customers were using those Lambda functions for ML model inference. And on top of that, you're getting access to Amazon's huge array of pre-trained machine learning models. And they talked a lot about anomaly detection and time series prediction and forecasting and those kind of things, where often perhaps customers don't have enough of their own data to train an accurate model in order to do that. But actually predicting anomaly or detecting anomalies in time series data doesn't really require customer-specific data sets. It's a more generic class of machine learning problem.
Thanks for joining us this week for Hallway Conversations. Click the link below for weekly AWS roundups and curated content from our experts.
Next week, we'll be sharing our takeaways from the much anticipated keynote with Amazon VP Werner Vogels.